In this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to make lower thirds and use them in OBS or Vmix. Hey folks, AJ the CEO here. This is your first time stopping by the channel. Thanks for stopping by, and on this channel we focus on tips, training, strategies, reviews, and builds to help modernize your media ministry. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. So I've had a ton of people ask me this question, and honestly I've tried to record it a bunch of times. It just didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So we're going to try this again. So before I even get started, there are multiple ways to do this, from very simple all the way up to complicated, as in complicated meaning that you need multiple other pieces of software. So I'm gonna try and go through I guess 2 to 3 options, and then you can pick whichever one that you want. All right, and again, just realize that you can change this to any color, you can do whatever, and obviously I can't do every single combination. So I'm just going to walk through what I do at my church and a simple way, a very simple way, if you need to get something done. So let's go ahead and cut over to the computer. All right, so I'm over here on Canva.com. Now, the first thing you need to know is when you get started is what type of resolution you're going to be using for your live stream. So most likely you're going to be using 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720. Now, it's honestly easier just to go with the higher resolution and then just scale it down in your software. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing this in 1920 by 1080. All right, so let's come over here to our desktop wallpaper because it's the same size. And like I said, I am not a graphic artist. You can make this as complex as you want. I'm just going for simplicity. All right, the very first thing we're gonna do is let's go ahead and click on this background. I'm not gonna use a template. We're just gonna make this fresh. I'm gonna set this to pure green, which the hex code is 00FF00 for RGB, G being green. And F being the highest value that you can use. All right, so there we go. So it's all green. So we're going to be using chroma key inside of OBS as well as Vmix to get rid of all this stuff. All right, now the easiest thing for me to do is I just do 2 rectangles. Well, these are squares. We're going to turn them into rectangles. And for the lower third, that means if you divided the screen into 3 parts, you want to go with the lower third of that 3/3 screen split. So this is half, so that's about 1/3 right there. And now I'm not going to make this that big, but I will go with something about right here. Now, I do have a color scheme that I follow with our branding at church, so you can pick whatever color, but that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to make one of these white, and now I'm going to duplicate this same layer, and then I'm going to make this one that color that we use everywhere, and I'm going to put this about right here. I'm resizing this down to here and hide this behind it. So it's 2-tone. Now you always, let's link these both together. Group those, Now you could be real creative if you wanted to, and you could shrink this down. Let's do it this way too. Hold on. Do something like this, right? And I'm going to group those together. So you can even do this lower third to where it's transparent under the bottom. I didn't make it big enough here. So you can do it like this if you want to, so it looks like it's transparent under the bottom as well as the top when we erase the green. Or you can just have it take up the entire screen, which is what I'm going to do, the full width of the screen. So that's what I'm gonna do. And let's make it I want that bottom to be a little bit smaller. All right, and that's it. So let's go ahead and label this lower third background. we're done with this one. Now, that's one way you can do it, and we can add the text later into OBS, or you could just come in here, make a copy for every single person that's in your ministry, and I'll just use my dad's name, and we'll add some text, and we have some contrasted colors to make it really easy. Senior. All right, let's shrink this size down first, and I'm gonna change the color to white. Now you can do something like that, and then we would add, excuse me, another one, and then just say church and title. And I'm just selecting it using the arrow keys to move it a little bit finer than me just dragging. So boom, you can do something like that, and then you just make everyone for all the people who could possibly be preaching, and that way, and it makes it easy that way, because you can always just duplicate it and add guests, ministers, anything like that. Really not that difficult. So let's download that one as well too. All right, that was easy. That was easy. All right, so now let's go ahead and minimize this, and now let's open up, start with OBS. All right, so going with the media ministry OBS layout that you can get in the description, like I said, this is what I'm adding to. So we have our streaming section here that I'm pointing this to my webcam, and you can make multiple ways, but this is just the base. I'm gonna show you how we do. So let's come in here, and this is if you have multiple people. This is how I like to do it, just like I did here on offering. We're gonna make a folder or a group and call it lower thirds, or you can do it titles. Yeah, let's do titles. All right, and we want this to be under our pre-recorded video but above our regular live video. So let's push this down, and now we're gonna add, first we'll start with our background. So we're gonna add the image here, and we'll call this lower third background, and let's navigate out to where we made that. All right, now let's move this inside of here. Now, just like we said, we did that color for a reason. Let's right click on here, go to filters. We're gonna add a chroma key because it's green, and boom, there we go. Our lower third is already positioned the way we need it to be. Now, what I would do in this scenario, we would add a text layer. So we would say title name, and then you can do whatever. Right? Now we'll come in here and resize this. Not that small. And again, you can come in here and change whatever font you wanted. I'm just grabbing the first one that they said. Alright, so we got that. Let's move that down to our titles, and let's do another, and then we'll just call this speaker title. And this one, we want to do this in, you need to change the color. Oops, it's under here. I'm going to change that to black here, and we'll just say type out the same thing. Alright, and we're going to resize this one a lot smaller. Maybe That's not that small. All right. And boom, there's our lower third. Now you could come in here, and because we put it in that group, if you did it in the same scene, all you would have to do is just hit this I. Oh, maybe I need to put the title in there as well too. Hit the I for the group, and that will bring the whole thing up and down. But what I would do in this is, now that we got this set, let's duplicate this scene and just do streaming and then title. So back in this original one, I would turn this off, and if you're in studio mode, see, now it's a completely different scene with that lower third on. So now when you fade in, it fades in instead of it just being an abrupt cut. All right. Now what you could do, there's nothing different with what we did if we had this built in. So let's go ahead and add another image, and you can do this with the whole stack that you have. So I'll just say, I'll call it AAH, and then we'll do that one, which already has it built in. So I moved that one to title, and then that would be the same way if you had everybody's in here. Show this, and now for each individual one, we still have to add a chroma key on here. Now, if you were doing this in Photoshop, you wouldn't need to do a chroma key. You can just make it transparent. But again, I'm using this in Canva and making all of these free. All right, and this will work the same way. And see, I would come in here, have this one off, but in this one, it will be on. So I have transitions in between my scenes, so it will work the same way if you just click or if you did studio mode. So that's a real easy way to do that in OBS. Now, one last thing is, let me come back here over the title, and let's go back to these. So what else you could do if you wanted to is come in here to our speaker title. We can set this to read from a file, and what we would do is we can make a file on our desktop and call it speaker title. Oop, not a folder, I need a file. Speaker title, and then let's make another one called speaker name. And we just link it to that. All right, we link that one to speaker title, and then this one, we do the same thing, read from file, we do that speaker name. Boom, look, now there's nothing there. Now, what's the reason of doing this? This is really cool because this can actually help speed up how fast you can change the stuff. So these are both of those files. And let's see if I can put them in a place where you can see everything at the same time. All right, so that's speaker name, and this is title. So I can say the name of Ronald Gills, and then I'll say Pastor. All right, so if I save this, now it automatically added it. So now that you have this linked, you can just make these additions in a text file and not have to touch anything. So that's another way that you can get around that if you wanted to. All right, so now that we got that one out the way, let's go ahead and open up Vmix and show you how you can do that in there. And it's just as simple, but you don't have as much flexibility in this one. All right, so let's go ahead and add our camera here. And we're gonna add our image here. Now before I even say this, Vmix does have its own title engine built into it, so you can make that. I will cover that in another video. I just want to show, if you are making this in Canva, how this will work. So let's go to our image, and if we just had like the lower third that was completely made, because right now you wouldn't want to add text. It all depends on what version of Vmix that you have. Mine, I can only have 4 sources, so it's going to be kind of difficult for me to add multiple ones. So if I was using Vmix, I would pre-make all of mine in one image and load the images on the fly when I need them. But again, like I said, the title engine is probably going to be better in Vmix, but I wanted to show because people have asked. So inside of here, I would come to color key, pick that same color, and as you can see, it's been removed. And then just to bring it over, works the exact same way. All right, I just gotta press the 1 as an overlay, and it brings it over top of my live video, and that is it. So I hope that made sense and that was really simple, and hopefully that answers the questions of people asking how to make lower thirds. Now, one thing I am gonna do is, let me cut back over here. Now, another way that you can do it is kind of a more advanced way, and you need some more additional software to do that, and that would be to make your lower third in a program like After Effects or something like that. This is what I normally do in post-production, but it can be done in OBS. So let me show you how we're going to do that. So let's close all this away. I have here a couple of lower thirds I believe I made a while ago. I actually bought these from Envato. So if I come over here, let me just show you this at first. So in here, so let's do Video Hive, and we can just do lower thirds. So you can always buy these, but you need a template, a program like After Effects to actually make them. And this is what I did with my church. So if I come in here, and actually this is one that I've actually bought. So you have all of these, and they're really cool. You're pretty much gonna have to make them the way these are. You need to make each individual person for them. So for example, I have some of these, so I'll use kind of like what I normally do here. This is a pastor that I made this for recently. And what we would do in this is, now if I play it so you can actually see the whole animation of it. See, it looks real cool. But like I said, it does the full animation. So let's go ahead and render this. This is why you need separate program to do this. But it does give a much more professional look to it, and then you're really not designing it. Somebody else has already designed it, and you saw it. This was like $15, and you can make as many of these as you want. Now, normally I make a slideshow, so they make a bunch of images, and in my video editor they just play all the images and it makes it work. But that doesn't necessarily work very well in OBS. So we're gonna need to make this as a video. So let's go ahead and pick, I'm gonna do H.264, and let's just save this here on the desktop here. I'll just call it lower third. So again, if you're making a bunch of these, you'll probably want to name these like I've done for every person of leadership at the church. So let's go ahead and render that. Hopefully that doesn't take very long. And one thing I did not do, I did not set the background color. But right now I need to see what color that comes out. I think it's going to be black, so we can color key that out. All right, so it really didn't take that long to do. Give it a second. Boom. All right, now we're done. Now let's go ahead and close all of this. No, I don't want to save it. All right, so if we go back to OBS, now how is this gonna work? Let's turn these off. And because it's a video, it's going to be a media source that we're adding. So let's add a media source, and then I'll just call it test lower third. Again, you would name this as the person. Now the settings for this, because it's a video, is we don't want it to loop. We don't want it to, I mean, I guess you could, yes, you want this to restart every time it becomes active. Hardware encoding is fine. Close when it's inactive, yes. Show nothing when it's played, when the playback ends, good, because you want it to go away once you're done. All right, so here's our lower third. And as you can see, this is actually in 4K, so we need to resize this completely. Let's fit the screen, and you saw how fast it went. So let's come in here to filters, color key, and then we're gonna set that as black. All right, so now let's see how it works, because if we turn it off and turn it back on, boom, there you go. Now we need to play around with this placement here. So it looks like maybe push it down some. Now let's turn it off and back on again. Perfect. So again, there are a bunch of these, but again, this gives it more professional looking, but inside of OBS, you can't control how long it's going to be there. You can't pause it, you can't rewind it and stuff like that. So you got to be real careful with the type of lower third that you make if it's one of these animated ones. Now again, you could do other stuff where you have animated graphics in the background and you're just putting text over top of it. I mean, I'm just really just scratching the surface of what you can do, because you can always take everything that we just talked about and build them on top of each other to make something way more complex, complicated that you want. I've done places where I've done bars like this, and then I've had the text rotate in between the church's address, their contact information, as well as their online giving, the title of who is speaking, then also rotate out to what the title of their message is. You can get as complex as you want to, and this is just really meant to give an example of what you can do for all the people who are asking me how to do lower thirds. So hopefully that gave you enough information. So hopefully I didn't give you enough information, so not that you're dangerous, but at least get you closer to what you did. And like I said, I'm not a graphic artist. I just made a solid background, did 2 bars that happen to be accent colors of my church, put our text with colors that contrasted against those backgrounds, and that was pretty much it. So I hope that helped. Again, like I said, in the description, I will have a link to the OBS scenes if you wanted that all set up, so you don't have to make that and you just have to add lower thirds to that. But again, I did everything in Canva. If you have Photoshop, GIMP, works the exact same way. It actually would be easier. You can make it transparent and you don't need to do any of that stuff at all with color keying. But anyway, this was meant to be simple, and I showed all the way up to how I do it in my videos as well. So hopefully that answered all of y'all's questions on how to do lower thirds. So if you like this type of content, I would appreciate a like, consider subscribing, and hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. This is AJ, and we will see you on the next video. Later.